Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. It's time to let go of negative thinking, understand why you do what you do and stop the self-sabotage with your host, Fran Excel.
Welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, your resident subconscious success mentor, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. If you want to stop self-sabotaging your own success and let go of the stress, then you are in the right place, my friend. Make sure you download your free Stressed to Success guided meditation at bit.ly/stress to success as my little gift to you just for being here. Please do subscribe, share and review. It really, really helps people that need to hear this message find us, and I so appreciate it. In the show notes, you'll also find details of how you can work with me and where you can get your mitts on my meditations, products, printables, programs. You can find it through the link in my bio on Instagram, which is my favorite place to hang out. So please do come join me over there at I'm Fran Excel. Tag me in your takeaways, slide into my DMs. I'm here for it. So that's the formalities over, my love. So let's jump to the content. Do you feel like you have real clarity over what you want for your life and what you're doing in your business? This is something that has been coming up a lot this past week, and I haven't covered clarity in a little while. So it's been coming up with my one-to-one clients, with my Positive Pants Toolkit members, and in the mentorship. It seems to be a little bit of a common theme at the moment. I just don't really know what I'm doing, or I don't really know what I want. So, of course, it inspired me to create this episode for you. So many people get caught up thinking that they don't have clarity on their ideal client, on their niche, on the products or services that they want to sell. So they kind of just don't do anything, or they flip-flop on their messaging, but don't put out the offers to actually work with people because they don't know who it is that they want to work with or how. It's really tough when you're in that place, and you can come to that place multiple times. It's not a one and done. It's not like you nail your niche and you nail your ideal client and then everything is glorious for the rest of time, because you will evolve and the work that you do will evolve. But I want to take the pressure off of it a little bit, but I get it. It's tough. I've been there, but I really believe that we've got it backwards. Of course, knowing your niche, your services, your ideal client is all necessary and makes your life so much easier and allows your potential clients to self-identify that you are the solution to their problem, that you have the solution to their problem. But here's the thing. More important than that is you need confidence in what it is you're selling. You need to back yourself and your services, or you'll find running your business incredibly difficult. So we can look at people and be envious of the amount of sales they make, or the amount of clients that they work with, or the amount of followers that they have. But if you scroll back, scroll through their content or posts, you're likely to find something familiar. You're likely to find some less clear and confident messaging. Right? We all have to start somewhere, and we all have to start putting things out there. So don't compare yourself at the beginning of your journey to someone way further along who allowed themselves, this is the important bit, who allowed themselves to flap and flounder their way into clarity and confidence. We're all trying to get everything right first time, and that's where we fall short. So the other super important piece of clarity I do think is important to know as soon as possible, and the irony is that this piece of the puzzle, I see people do leave until way after they've started, but you really do need to know this stuff at the beginning, and that is what you want your life to actually look like. This is why so much of my work is around, hang on a minute, you've built a business that's like completely against your personality, completely against what you want your life to look like and the time that you have, etc., etc. So what do you want your life to look like? How does your business fit into that? How many hours per week do you want or are able to work? How many days per week is that? How much time off do you want or need in the year? How do you want to deliver your services? What feels heavy and burdensome to you versus light and easeful? Yeah, those are the kind of questions that we need to be asking. So there's two sides to clarity that I'm talking about today. Like, what do you actually want it to look like once you've got everything in your business set up the way you want it? Like, what does that actually look like? And then the normal stuff, like the businessy stuff. So your niche, your ideal client, the services, all of that. So how do we actually find clarity? When it comes to niche, products, services, ideal client, etc., we start with what we do know and we do the thing. This is the number one way to get clarity. Try, experiment, allow yourself to make mistakes and get it wrong. Yeah, this is why beta programs work really well, where you charge less for essentially the test run. It's a trial for them, but it's also a trial for you. That's the piece of the puzzle that sometimes I think people miss. Running a beta program is also a test run for you. You get to tweak and test. Yeah, but it's also how, like, just getting your first few clients through the door is so essential. Like, you'll know pretty quickly when you start working with people, the kind of people you do and don't want to work with. But you have to do the thing. That is where the clarity comes in. I found my first clients thinking that I wanted to work with people in corporate jobs that weren't happy, right? I put the feelers out by talking about what I was doing, asking, being brave, pulling the big girl pants up and asking friends for referrals, asking people, like, do you know anyone like this? These are the kind of people that I'm thinking I want to work with, and I'm doing it for cheaper until I find my feet. I got my first 8 clients this way. My first 8. Some of those clients I utterly adored, and some were more difficult to work with, right? But through that work, I realized I wanted to work with people who had a big dream or a big goal and were kind of selling themselves short on it. Yeah. So they were further down the line. Like, they already knew that there was a potential outside of like the 9 to 5. And I'm not knocking the 9 to 5 at all. I think the best position that you could possibly be in is to do both, if you can find a way to make that work flexibly. But these people were far more invested in their own results, right? They really wanted something. They were working towards something rather than just trying to get away from something. So there's a little bit of a nuance there, right? But all too often, I see people think that they have to have everything figured out before they take action. But the reality is, taking the action is what actually gives you the clarity. You can spend hours, days, weeks, or months trying to think your way to clarity. Yeah, you can put up with the frustration, the feeling of stuckness, the feeling like you aren't moving anywhere fast, or you can just allow yourself the grace to try and see what happens without the flip-flopping. You've got to allow it enough time. Yeah. We also place far too much concern over what other people think if we don't look a certain way or fit into a certain box or mold. But the more, I'm just trying to stifle off a sneeze right here. But the more that you let go of the concern over what other people think and allow yourself to experiment and just see what happens, the further you'll go, and much quicker. Allow yourself to make mistakes, right? Remember, we learn to not make mistakes. We learn that making mistakes is bad. We learn that it not going the way that we want it to first time is bad. As kids, we learn this when we're tiny. We've got to unlearn it, because I guarantee you the most successful people that you see allow themselves to fail. Yeah. Another way that we find clarity is to actually allow ourselves to create space. So many people are kind of like rushing through everything, busy. They don't actually allow themselves any space, which is, as we know, a huge amount of people get their best ideas in the shower, right? Or when they're doing something creative. But you can journal, meditate, talk it through with people who get it. Allow ourselves to let go of the rush sometimes and just take a step back to reflect. Of course, a fast track to this space is coaching, mentoring. So if you're in a position to get anything like that, then please do it as soon as you can, even if it's just an accountability buddy. Thanks for that, Milo. Just having a little shake. Even if that's just an accountability buddy. right? Or if it's like you're in a membership, as an example, in my membership, every single month, we do a group call where people can basically sit in a hot seat, or they can ask me questions anonymously that I will then go through on the call. But even that, right? That is enough to keep you moving, to help you get that clarity. Stop trying to sit there doing it all on your own. Having someone help you reflect, seeing the things that you don't see, challenging your thought processes is something that will absolutely help you find clarity and get you moving more quickly. Next up, to find clarity, you have to ask yourself the questions like I was talking about earlier, like, what do you most want for yourself and for your life? Like, what does it or will it actually look like? And allow yourself to sit in that. Because sometimes we can do that and reverse engineer. Yeah. Start with what you do know. This is the next bit. Even if that's simply knowing what you don't want, start with that, because you do know that you don't want it, right? So knowing what you don't want will naturally lead to more clarity on what you do. Next thing to think about, know your values. Knowing your values is so key to gaining clarity over all the things we've been talking about today. So many things tied up into these values. Yeah, so do that. Go find out, figure out what they are. They will tell you so much. And next up for the clarity train, and a big one, in my opinion, actually a huge one, in my opinion, please cut out the noise and simplify. Cut out the noise and simplify. Choose less than a handful of mentors. Yeah, whether they're people you're working with one-to-one or whether they're people that you're following online, the more voices you have giving you different options and different ways of doing things, the more confusion you'll have and the less clarity. Yeah, because you'll be like, oh, that person sells this, so I need to do that over there. Oh, but that person sells this, I need to do that over there. You have to get strategic about this. And that's where the clarity comes. Clarity comes and go, actually, okay, does this make sense? Does this make sense for me? Does this make sense for my business? Does this make sense for my ideal client? I see people looking for the answers external to themselves all the time, when so much of what they need is literally right under their noses. So that's tuning inwards, listening to yourself, and then getting help to solidify that from someone who has done it or is qualified to know how to do what you want to do. Ask yourself, what is the story I'm telling myself about not having clarity right now and what that means? Yeah. People spend so long feeling behind, in inverted commas, when they are trying to figure things out. But you'll only ever really be behind if you don't take action or you quit altogether. You can collect all the data, you can learn all the things, but until you start actually doing and sticking with something for a decent amount of time, this is not about, when I say allow yourself to make mistakes, that does not mean chop and change every 5 minutes. It means actually allow yourself some dedicated time. This is why it's helpful to work with someone else as well. Have some dedicated time to allow something to work. Yeah. I'm always talking about building that bridge to Success Island. You know, don't build the little ones. You want to build the one that's going to go all the way. And then you can decide if it works for you or not, if it's something you want to stick with. But until you start actually doing, you won't find the clarity you're looking for. And finally, tying nicely into that last point, decide. Decide to take action on a direction and see where it takes you. Be okay with a few detours along the way. That's part of the journey. But as always, allow the time to see if it can work for you. Don't decide you want something, you have a particular ideal client and then literally a few weeks later decide, nope, it's not working. I want a different one. Allow yourself to really go all in on that and try to make it work for you. And then you can choose a different way of working, a different ideal client or whatever that might be. And again, that's where it's super, super helpful. You will save yourself so much time and money in the long run working with someone in some capacity on this. I'm always saying in the mentorship and to my toolkit members, there is a point in the future where this is easy. There is a time you'll forget that it was ever hard for you. But that only comes from taking action, being okay with making mistakes, failing forward, and not making that failure, in inverted commas, or that mistake or that wrong turn an existential crisis and something that's wrong with you on an identity level. Don't do that. You've so got this. So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and start changing things for yourself, then join the Positive Pants Toolkit app and community so you can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. And if you want my eyes and ears on your problems, then I work with people one-on-one and through my programs. You can find all the details to join the toolkit or book in a call in the show notes, the link in my bio on Instagram, and on my website, franexcel.com. So stop waiting for if and when and choose to change things now, because you can. I'm here to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And as always, I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next week. Bye.